Om Sri Sai Ram. Love is the only power. Love is the only way. Love sweetens every hour. Love have a lovely day. Love is the silent flower. Love is the child that plays. Love is the love of Sai. Love fill the world today. Om Sri Sai Ram. In one of his poems, Tagore has mentioned, "O Lord, how lovingly you refuse my prayers." How lovingly you refuse my prayers. Swami has often said, you cannot always oblige, but at least you can always speak obligingly, even refuse obligingly. Many a times in his public discourse in Kulwant Hall, he warned the sevadals and officials that authority does not give you license to be rude. A person who claims to be servant, a sevak, a sevadal, in any position, whatever, he may be convener, chairman, president, just because he is given an opportunity to be in position of authority, that doesn't give him or her license to be rude. You cannot always oblige, obviously, but at least you can speak or even refuse obligingly. We are humans. Be human, behave human. And this avatar has come to set an example. I remember once during 92-93, I was in charge of textile department as a seva. 1 hour morning, 1.5 hour evening. Sometimes when the bhajan starts, we are busy preparing, because after bhajans we have to open up. Sometimes we take some, if everything is perfect, we rush at least to have darshan of Swami during Mangala Arati. So we were allowed to sit near that Jain side Krishna. We would just rush in from the eastern gate and just sit there, have Mangala Arati and then go back for seva. So once I was sitting, I was with His Grace, the first person. There's a, if we remember even now, in the olden days, there was no Kulwant Hall. So there's a slope. So at the edge of that slope, bottom edge, I was sitting there and peeping, because after Mangala Arati, Swami may sometimes come out, or he may, when he goes to interview room, we may have a glimpse of his red robe. But during the bhajans, it was last bhajan probably, Swami just got up from his chair apparently, and he walked towards that particular eastern direction. And everybody, started moving. We have indication that Swami is coming this side. And I saw on the opposite side from the eastern gate, Colonel Jogarao came by his car, and he was also walking towards Mandir. Normally he would come after Mangalarati, and he will come from the western side, the ladies' side. He was allowed to come from that side because he used to stay in Purnachandra on the ground floor. So he would, very old man, and he had some knee problem. So Swami had permitted him to come from the ladies' side, and he would come and go inside the interview room after Swami had gone, and They would have lunch or dinner, morning, evening, whatever. So this was unusual. He had come from the eastern gate, so it was an indication that Swami is going out with Colonel Jogarao. And all the volunteers, they started being alert that now Swami's car will come and probably Swami would go out. There's a body language. There's no announcement, nothing. Every devotee knows the next moment of Swami. At least they guess. But Swami will play his own games. Nobody can outsmart this God at least. Pakka, sure. So Swami came and he stood at the edge, the top edge of that slope. I was at the bottom. Swami came and stood with his lovely lotus feet and majestic. And let me mention, on that day, we all know that Swami changes his color of his body, aura, and even his height. Sometimes we find him to be very tall, sometimes very short. Sometimes he is very dark, and sometimes he would be bluish. Sometimes he would be very beautiful white skin. It changes. So Swami was standing and he was looking so tall, as if touching the roof. So Swami stood there with his hands at the back, and Colonel Jogoro was just walking towards Swami. He was at a respectable distance. Swami said, what is the matter? Means, how come you are here now? He said, in Telugu. I could understand Telugu those days. Even now I understand, speak also. So he mentioned in Telugu that, Swami, yesterday you mentioned that we have to go for some inspections somewhere. Then Swami had probably decided not to go, but the way he refused him, that because he had changed his mind, Swami could simply say, oh, no, I didn't tell, or no, I have changed my mind, or why, unless I call you, why you have taken. No, he was so obliging. I never seen any person speaking so sweetly, so obligingly, as if Colonel Jogarao has obliged Swami to come there, as if Colonel Jogarao is boss, really. And Swami was speaking so humbly, so obligingly, in sweetest Telugu, that is it so that I mentioned that we have to go together? I think if we go in the evening, will it be okay for you? You have taken so much trouble to come. What do you say? But the body language and the words flowing like amrita, nectar. Every word, Colonel Jogarao was becoming so joyous that Swami is talking so, I think very rare Swami is speaking sweet to his close ones. Swami will be different with his closest officials. So sweet. So Colonel Jogarao returned after that. I can never forget that scenario. The same thing happened when Swami wanted to appoint Dr. Bhatt as in charge of urology ward before the hospital was inaugurated. In Whitefield, Swami would come to him and persuade him with such loving, caring, motherly, divinely way, humbly. He was feeling so embraced that Swami is giving him an appointment to be the head of department, but Swami is speaking to him as if without Dr. Bhatt, the hospital will not run. His words, his expression, body language was so obliging, so loving. You cannot always oblige, but at least you can always speak obligingly. And Swami says, when you have to refuse somebody has come with some expectations from you. Maybe right or wrong, but he has come with some expectations, and it is you who are not able to fulfill his expectations. The person who is asking is not at fault in his own wisdom, or maybe even selfish wisdom. He is asking you for some favor, some help. If you cannot, due to some rules and regulations, some discipline, you should be very loving, because you are refusing him. You are not able to do what he is expecting you to do for him. So you have to be extra loving, extra obliging. But what do we do? Exactly the opposite. just because we are having some authority and we are sitting in an office on some chair, standing at some position. Even Swami said those days Swami had declared, because the rush was there and the beggars also started increasing, swelling up. They used to come from Kottacheru and all. And on that whole road outside the Prashadi Nilayam, against the wall there, their place of begging, beggars at their fixed place. Early morning 4 o'clock they will start coming, like devotees will be in the queue. They also, the whole road will be full of beggars. So Swami once publicly announced that, because especially foreigners, the tourists, they would be very they feel that it is their moral duty to give some money and help these people, so they would give cash even in dollars. So, and these beggars, some of them were not actual beggars, they were not actual poor people. It became like a professional. They will know how to beg. They know the tricks, we all know it. So Swami announced that if at all it is very good to be compassionate, but if at all you have to give alms to anybody, give them food, take them to some hotel, some restaurant, feed them well. Even every day, give them breakfast, lunch, dinner, everything with your own hands. That is Narayana Seva. Just doling out some money or dollars to them, they may misuse it. They may do something which they are not supposed to do, because they have not seen such big money. They may fall into some trap, some wrong thing. And some people, even they try to manipulate them. There will be some contractors for beggars. Yes, it is there. So after this announcement, people understood, at least those who are regular visitors or who are staying in the ashram, we would not encourage giving cash. So people started feeding them idlis and everything outside the restaurant. But for me, it was every day. I would go to mandir to pick up my mother, my wife, then place. 10 times I will pass from their road, and every time these beggars will be there. But somehow, with his grace, Swami actually did this in public, that anybody comes to you for something, what do you do? Go, you be so rude. You just abuse them actually. Don't do that. If you cannot oblige, speak. At least you can fold your hands and say, sorry ma, I cannot give. Now every day for me to tell everybody like this. So it was my habit when I used to go to a Sevadal also. I will just be loving to all the patients and everybody. I'll hold their hands and sit with them. So what I used to do is my natural. I used to walk, and all old women or beggars, they would Sai Ram, Sai Ram, Sai Ram. When they do like this, I will just put my hands upon their hands, smiling face, loving face, and say, Sai Rama, Bagunnava, are you happy? I'll start speaking to them. And they would forget their begging, because most of them were not actual beggars. They would also respond, Bagunnanu, Bagunnanu, and they will bless. They will forget to ask money, really. So it became my habit. I would go there, and 5-6 people every day. I know them, they know me. I would keep my hand on their head sometimes. If the small child or some elderly person, I'll just put their hands, shake hands with them and love them. I give them my love. I can't take every day to them to the. I knew many people are giving them idlis and dosas. I used to give them my love. And the miracle is, practically every beggar, they would wait for me. If I don't go one day from that route, next day they will ask, Enduku nina raleda? Enduku, why you did not come yesterday? Every day I would go and put my hands on their hands. Simply love them without even telling them I love you and all. Love is not a physical exercise. You don't have to mention even. It is all mind game. You have to radiate love. And I had genuine love for them. I love poor people right from beginning, because they are so pure in heart. They don't have any tricks in their minds. These illiterate, they are the purest of souls. That is the meaning of speak obligingly, lovingly. Because love is the only power, love is the only way. There is no other power, brothers and sisters. Believe me, there is no other way. This very simple. Swami has God has created this life so simple. One philosopher has said, it is very simple to be happy. Everybody wants to be happy. Who doesn't want to be happy? Everybody wants happiness. All of us, we want to be happy. But this realized soul has declared, it is so simple. We think that being happy is so complicated. Some money will make me happy, or some relationship will make me happy, or some position of authority will make me happy. And within 24 hours, we find, if at all we get it what we want, that is causing more side effects, more negative reactions than we expected. That is why he said it is so simple to be happy, but it is so difficult to be simple. Humanity has forgotten, the modern man has forgotten, the modern education has programmed our minds in such complicated manner. We have forgotten to live simple, to think simple, to be simple. It is so simple to be happy. Everybody wants to be happy. And he says, so simple. Just let go, let God. Radiate His love, His light from within. It will automatically bring smile on your face. It is His creation. We did not create anything. We are just guests. We have come to just perform our little role. Human beings are not even 5% of the entire creation. And our planet is just a tip of the pin in the whole cosmos. Why this foolishness, this ego? Instead of living in foolishness all the time and suffering, why can't we choose to live in awareness? Swami once told a gathering of students in Kodai, I was sitting there. Somebody asked Swami, some VIP guest, Swami, why do good people suffer? We understand that bad people suffer because of their badness, their bad karmas. But why do good people suffer? Swami said, good people suffer not because of their goodness, but because of their foolishness. The modern education has trained our minds, programmed our thinking to live in utter foolishness 24/7. Just close your eyes and introspect. We will know the truth. We care for those who would never cry for us. And we cry for those who would never care for us. And we call this foolishness as sign of our progress. Our every foolishness we call and think and brand it, market it as sign of our progress. Fathers have become financiers and we call this progress. Once I was sitting with one of my friends who was running the business of interior decoration and furnitures and everything. Some rich young man came and he was ordering something for his family. I was just listening casually, he was talking. He had two kids, probably 4 years daughter and 6 years son, or 4, 6 or 6, 8, the small kids. And he was suggesting that they have separate table, separate computer, this thing, separate light, separate bed, this, everything. And then he said something which really shocked me. He said, my children don't like to share. They want everything exclusively for themselves. And he was telling so proudly. That is why we call our foolishness a sign of our progress. He was thinking that he has progressed. I remember we were small, my grandfather and his elder brother, I was told, when there was no Pakistan, they were living in Sindh, Pakistan. They had only one pair of spectacle and they would borrow from each other. Hey, you give me this now, I have to go for some work. Like that. My uncle and they were rich, they could afford. But it was a bond of love. They would love to share each other things. My uncle, I remember him, as soon as my father will get a new chappals or anything, my uncle would say, hey, give me for one day. No, it is so nice. He'll say, okay, you take it. We were very rich. They could afford it. I believe it. Chappal or a spectacle, extra pair they had. But that feeling of love, of sharing, of caring, now it is gone. The small kids don't want to share. You want to buy same thing for both of them, same item individually. They separate everything. Kalasi milasi. We have to be. Togetherness is godliness. We have forgotten to share, to care. We become so self-centered all the time. We can't even share our happiness with our own brothers. We don't share the moments of happiness. We want to be miser in sharing in everything. And what is the result? It is so simple to be happy, but it is so difficult to be simple. Why can't we simply be loving, be giving, be forgiving? Because actually nothing belongs to us. Nothing, absolute nothing. Even the lowest person with the lowest IQ would know, if he just sits for 2 minutes in meditation, he will know that nothing belongs to us. We did not bring anything, and we will take nothing. Everybody knows. It is not a big rocket science to know this. But we have chosen to live foolish ways. Why not now turn the key? Swami used to say, same lock, same key. Turn it this direction, it is locked. Turn it this way, it is open. Turn our minds. Make right choices. Live simple, think simple. There will be clarity in thought. My mother was illiterate, like most of the ladies those days. But they had treasure of common sense. Any problem if I have, I'll just go to my mother. She will solve it in one moment. And today you see all PhDs. They think they are very uncommon. They think uncommon, but they don't have common sense. Yes, they are uncommon. No doubt on that. But in that race to become uncommon, they have lost their common sense. Life is lost in dreaming. Being is lost in becoming. What prize we are gaining all these stupid things. Pichi pichi, as Swami used to call. Small achievements, small degrees, small promotions. And we feel so arrogant. Small authorities. We think that we can play games with God. It is His play. And He alone knows how to play. We have to only surrender and shut up. Ramana Maharishi. But recently Swami conveyed to me, when you surrender and shut up with smile on your face. I don't want that helplessness surrender. What to do? What can we do? God alone will decide. We are helpless. We have no author. Like this. This is not surrender, Swami says. Surrender and shut up with a smile. That is the sign that you have understood His game, His grace. Surrender with joyful calm and loving trust. Joyful calm. The peace should bring joy. Where there is love, there is understanding. All misunderstandings are due to lack of love. I have mentioned in one of my videos when I was a student in final year BE Civil, there was a subject called geology. I used to love my mathematical projects, subjects, designing, everything. But this theory, marble, granites and all, somehow I used to hate it. like, but because it was one of the subjects, and if I get less marks or if I fail, then my entire efforts on other 5 subjects is nullified. So I prayed to Swami. And on Saturday, Sunday, we used to come to our place from hostel for 2 days. And then Sundays will be bhajans. I would attend bhajans. And even at this age, that age of when I was 22, I was asked by the Samiti every Sunday to speak for 5-10 minutes on Swami. So while speaking on Swami, I used to always, right from day one, never prepare my speeches. Swami just guides. So I heard myself saying that love brings understanding. It is lack of love that brings misunderstanding. And while speaking on this subject, after my talk, there would be few minutes of silence sitting. Swami never encouraged meditation. After bhajans, silence, silent sitting. Just to introspect. Because Swami told that what are you going to do in meditation? You are going to meditate upon whom? And with what instrument are you going to meditate? Mind. Your mind is a thief. You are taking the help of thief to catch a thief. You want to control mind, whom you consider to be thief, and you want to meditate with help of your mind. So what are you doing? Your mind will take you everywhere, but it will not take you. The thief will take you all around to every house for search, but he will never take you to his own house because he is the thief. You have to go beyond mind. There is no need to control mind. It is as futile and foolish as to try to control the waves in the ocean. If there is an ocean, there will be waves. Mind has to be ups and downs. Don't waste time controlling the waves or your mind. Rise above it. Or go deep down in the ocean. There will be no waves. Either you rise above it or you go deep down. But when you are on the shore, waves will be there. Common sense again. So, when I heard myself this, in that silent sitting, I thought, because I'm hating this subject, maybe because of that I'm not able to understand it. Otherwise, I had confidence in my own intelligence. I used to score always above 90 in mathematics, science and everything. How come this subject was a challenge for me? Because I found out I used to hate this subject. There and then I decided I love geology. In that few minutes of silent sitting, I repeated this, I love geology. And brothers and sisters, by the time I reached my hostel, 2.5 hours journey with that book of geology, I kept reading it whole night when I came to hostel, in the train and everything. I scored as many marks as I would score in any other subject because I loved geology now. Love brings understanding. It is lack of love which creates misunderstanding. If we have any misunderstanding with any person, any situation, just love that person and love that situation and see the miracle happening. So where there is love, there is understanding. Where there is understanding, there is harmony. Where there is harmony, there is peace. Where there is peace, there is joy, joyful, calm, and loving trust. And trust has to be loving. Trust in wisdom, trust loving. That is the love, that is the peaceful, joyful, loving trust in His wisdom. He will never commit any mistakes. Whatever I do or omit to do is for your own good. That would create a smile. Surrender and shut up with smile. जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की जय.